اوكي، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا الأنبياء والمرسلين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما تعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So, we did this hadith. Okay, let's start again. الفصل الثاني عن أبي هريرة قال قال رسول الله قال يا رسول الله أي الصدقة أفضل؟ قال جهد مقل. Right, there was jahd and juhd. Right, there was one position that they're the same. The other one was juhd al-muqil, a majhood, the amount that somebody can do who doesn't have much to give to begin with. Right, juhd al-majhood, that which the amount that they can do. وهو muqil, right, which is a person who doesn't have much to begin with. Right. Right, so then he says, Tibi says, okay, what about the hadith? خير الصدقة ما كان عن ظهر غنى, عن ظهر غنى. He says, isn't the other hadith, the Sahih, says the best charity is charity that given by somebody who is free of debts, right? So he says two answers. One, it could be somebody who is in a very difficult situation and despite that they still give, right? Or we say you have enough, but just enough, right? Okay. So you only just have enough. So let's say, for example, you have 120% of what you need for you and your family. Okay? But actually, you can survive with 100% or even less than that. So you can all squeeze a little bit, right? And give, right? وعن أبي هريرة قال okay. وعن سلمان بن عامر قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الصدقة على المسكين صدقة وهي على ذي الرحم ثنتان صدقة وصلة. Right, and it's particularly important people like Musa, people like myself with non-Muslim relatives, right? So this is like a huge, money is a huge da'wah, right? It's a huge da'wah. Not because you pay people to become Muslim, but because you pay people to show that you're together and they're not, right? Everyone's like crazy. Like, so it's a really important thing for converts. Uh, going off and traveling, going to the East and studying is good. And it can be important and very useful for some people. But another really big da'wah is, oh my God, all the other young men in the family are all like nothing, right? Whereas he has a degree and he's working. Like, oh, wow. So he's more together in his dunya than everybody else. There must be something different, right? عن أبي هريرة قال جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال عندي دينار قال أنفقه على نفسك. Start with yourself. قال عندي آخر قال أنفقه على ولدك. قال عندي آخر قال أنفقه على أهلك. قال عندي آخر قال أنفقه على خادمك. قال عندي آخر I slave, right? Because you're not obliged to support your khadim because he's an employee. You have a butler, you have a maid that you pay, you have somebody who works for you. You're not obliged to support that person, are you? Right? But when he says khadim, it means a slave. You are obliged to support your slave. قال عندي آخر قال أنت أعلم. You work it out. رواه أبو داود والنسائي. So remind ourselves, a hadith that's in Abu Dawud and Nasa'i generally is not going to be super weak, right? Right. So we saw that in Hazimi mentioned, some of them scholars saying that, the condition for a condition that Nasa'i and Abu Dawud have is that they will not mention a hadith. Well, they won't mention a narrator whom the scholars of his city agree that he's weak, right? So this scholar is from Balkh. Yes, Yahya al-Ma'in said he is weak. Yes, Imam Ahmad said he's weak. But you go to Balkh, the people who know this narrator in Balkh, do they all agree that he's weak? No. Okay. So therefore, it's eligible to be Sahih, right? Eligible to be Hasan, right? So you see a hadith like that. Hadith only in Tirmidhi. Hadith only Ibn Majah. Hadith only in Abu Dawood. 50-50, right? Right. Um, but hadiths in Abu Dawood and Nasa'i, chances are it's going to be Hasan, right? وعن ابن عباس قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا أخبركم بخير الناس رجل ممسك بعنان the reins of his horse في سبيل الله ألا right and this should be every single one of us right every single one of us is you wake up in the morning أنا ماسك بعنان فرسي right I have a mission a person with a mission right, what are you doing today see what happens Habibi it's not your life you're a person with a mission what is your mission to feed my family Alhamdulillah, I work 12 hours a day and feed my family. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil, that's a mission, right? You have a mission to do. You don't just do stuff, right? You have a mission. I'm gonna die with my boots on, right? I'm gonna die doing this mission, right? Being a mother, big mission, right? I'm just gonna hang out with my sisters. That's not how we do things. It's not right, right? If you're gonna socialize, you do it purposefully. That's part of your mission. If you're gonna relax, it's part of your mission, right? Um, like the other day, I'm super tired. I need to sleep. Can't really sleep. I just need to relax. So just lie there, read a random book, right? But as part of the mission, it's not just, yeah, I just, right? So you can't have pastimes. That's a very satanic term, pastime. Pastime means shaitan is trying to waste your time. And you can't do that. You can't have pastimes. You have pastimes that help you do the mission, right? ألا so this ألا أخبركم بالذي يتلوه رجل معتزل في غنيمة له يؤدي حق الله فيها right at least this person okay he's not involved in the missions of the world we should all be involved in the missions of the world right every single one of us a person with a mission that they're achieve then they're fulfilling it by prioritizing number one okay but I don't help society at all I just help myself it's fine that's if as long as that's all you can do that's fine all I can do is me and my kids okay alhamdulillah that's fine right but at least you say if I could I would do this if I could I'd do that right you're in this class right now your intention is ya Allah I want to learn hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, apply it in my life share it with my family change the people environment and spread it to the whole of the world ya Allah if you gave me 1,000 years I would do this that's my mission right am I going to achieve it that's irrelevant right but the point is um, you know that you're doing that second one is then at least you're not doing haram okay رجل معتزل في غنيمة. He has a bunch of sheep somewhere and up a hill, and whenever they reach the zakat amount, he gives the zakat away. Right? يؤدي حق الله فيها. ألا أخبركم بشر الناس رجل يسأل بالله ولا يعطي به. Right? So, assuming that there's a haqq on him, Habibi, you have zakat to give. I ask you by Allah, please give me your zakat. He's like, no. Right? Or he doesn't have zakat to give, it's just charity, right? It is makruh not to do that in the Shafi school, right? It's makruh not to do this. If Tibi mentions any other positions here, um, the next hadith is going to come up in a second. So it's going to come in a second. He's going to come the hadith. لا يسأل بوجه الله إلا الجنة. The only thing that is asked for the sake of Allah is paradise itself, i.e., it leads to that. That's why it's another reason why it's offensive. Not if somebody says, by Allah, please give me something, it's offensive not to give it unless it's haram. Like, what if you can't give someone else's money, right? Or you have, like, I need to give Muhammad Hashid something right now. He's asking me, please do this right now. and I give it to somebody else, right? Or it's my kid's lunch. Like you can't just take your kid's lunch. Can't do that, right? Or your wife's, right? Um, you know, that's your. Like, ask your wife, do you mind? This is your food, right? I'm giving to you. Do you mind if I give it away? Do you mind if I give more my money away today so we have nothing? She's like, Bismillah, if you're giving to Gaza, I'll do it. Okay, fine. But you can't just take people's money like that, right? When people have rights over you. Okay, so the Shafi school, they say it's offensive. Somebody says, Billahi alayk, give me something. It's offensive not to do that, all right? Or Wallahi la tu'tiyannani dinaran, right? By Allah, you will do this. You've now made him break his oath. Like you're breaking his oath for him. It's offensive not to do that, right? Unless, unless there's something else happening. And should you do that, right? The Shafis, they mention it is offensive to do a yameen by default is offensive, right? Saying wallahi is offensive. Unless you need to do it, there's a particular maslahah in doing it, right? In court, it's recommended not to do that, right? So Muhammad is claiming that the car belongs to him. I'm saying the car belongs to me, okay? So Muhammad has the car, and it's in his name, but I'm claiming that it's mine. So you say, Farid, bring me evidence that it's yours. Don't have it. Okay, Muhammad, you say, Wallahi, it's mine. He won't do it. So he doesn't do it. Now it comes back to me. Farid, you swear by Allah that it's yours and you can take the car. Because he didn't do it. It's interesting. So the judge is like, why didn't Muhammad say Wallahi? Right? So I'm asked to bring the evidence. I don't bring the evidence. He's asked to swear. He doesn't do it. I'm asked to swear. If I swear by Allah, I can take my car. Is it recommended to do that? No. It is more honorable, so you take the car for crying out loud. I'm not going to swear by Allah. Allah is more important than the car, right? Let alone, so people like, Anta kadhab, you're a liar, right? And you're like, Wallahi, I'm not a liar. Habibi, do not say that. Do not say that. It is better for you to be embarrassed. Say Wallahi if you're not a liar. I'm not going to say it. See, you're a liar. Told you you're a liar, and your dad's a liar, and your dad's dad was a liar. It's not true. My dad is not a liar, and my dad's dad not a liar, but I'm not going to say Wallahi because Allah is more important than me and my dad's dad, right? So people, they will, this is where this whole tribal thing flips, right? Where then it's like people will like, this bravado, right? Got to defend this and defend that. It's like you don't have to defend that. Okay? Let me call me a liar, fine. If you were half of a man, you say, Wallahi, I'm not going to do it because Allah is more important than me, right? If you were half a man, you would divorce me now, right? Another scenario, right? If you're a wife challenging a husband, if you were half of man, you wouldn't let me talk to you like this. It's like, no, because I'm a man, I let you talk to me like this, right? Because I'm not a man, I don't divorce you, right? So it's an important thing. So it's not honorable to say wallahi, wallahi, wallahi all the time. It's not. Two of my teachers, I never ever heard them say it, unless they were reading the hadith or reading a book. Then the book it said wallahi, but I never heard them say wallahi. Right? So it's not a good habit to do. It's not noble. Right? But if somebody does it, right, you should try your best to do it. وعن أم بجيد قالت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ردوا السائل ولو بظلف محرق رواه مالك والنسائي وروى الترمذي وأبو داود معناه similar thing, right? A piece of ظلف is the hoof. ظلف I believe it is the hoof. I don't have a footnote. Do you have it? And you have anything there? The dhilf, I'm pretty sure that's it's a hoof. It's actually so dhilf, I'm pretty sure is the hoof itself, like not even the foot, right? So something that you couldn't eat, that something that you could melt down, but you couldn't actually. That's actually a dhilf, but it's possible it means a burnt bread. Do you have anything?
It is given burnt hoof in one of the translations. It's given burnt hoof.
Burnt food, you said?
Hoof, hoof.
Hoof, yeah, yeah. There we go. Dhilf. So you would imagine though that it's paya. Yeah, yeah. You know what that is, Ashar? Paya.
Uh, uh, what shade?
It's called paya.
No, I don't know.
Aban, you know what that is?
Yes, Sidi, I do.
Yeah, right. So that's what they usually do. They melt it down, right? So pie is actually Farsi. Pie means foot, right? The same thing, ped, same root as Latin ped, right? Um, Allahu A'lam, right? So something that is like you, something that has no, something at all, right? Do you have anything at all, right? وعن ابن عمر. So there's a tricky situation that we're in right now, right? So if you can imagine, you can imagine people knocking your door at lunchtime, right? People knock at your door at lunchtime, you have a plate in front of you, and you're like, hey, just give them a bit of your food, right? You know, there is this situation where there is an open interaction with poor people, okay? Now I'm sitting in front of my computer, and no one's giving me cash. I'm getting numbers, and numbers are going in and out, right? And usually the numbers that go out are probably more than numbers that are going in, right? For many people, right? Um, there's a number of problems. We spoke about it last week about the whole issue with like the niyyah, like okay, you pay your bills, make an intention, and it's like, oh, actually, it just happened automatically, right? Like, so I didn't really do anything. I just kind of like it just the bill went out, and I didn't really think about it, which is not so good. Similarly, you're living this world where people are in need, but they're somewhere else, right? You live in this comfortable, air-conditioned world with a computer and electricity, and the poor people are on another planet, right? And it just comes to numbers. So I don't have a solution to it. I'm just saying, think about it, and we got to navigate this problem because what it meant is in the past when you're living in a tent and you make some soup and somebody walks past and they're like, please, I have not eaten for 2 days. Can I have some? And you give it to them. It's like the door to charity is open. Suddenly, the door to charity for us is closed because you're like, well, I can't afford it, right? Like if you have debts, then suddenly you're like, well, I have debts of this much money, so why would I, the hadith says don't pay it, right? So there's a big difference between somebody has debts and somebody has a piece of bread and they give some of the bread away. You know what I'm saying? Um, so, we have to be very careful, that's all. Each and every single one of us, we have to look at our lives and see how we're spending money, how we're making money, how we're spending money, and be very, very careful with all these things because it may well be that we live in a situation where it's so much harder or less convenient or less possible for us to give charity, in which case we really have to change that way the how that thing works, right? So it's a tricky situation to be in. Am I making sense?
Yes, Sidi.
Right.
Sidi, I had a question. So in
Yes.
the 1941,
Mm-hmm.
in the ولا يعطي, it says قال ابن مالك يسأل بصيغة الفاعل ولا يعطى بصيغة المفعول، أي يسأل مالك لنفسه بالله ولا يعطي بالله إذا سأل به. And it says وهو غير صحيح فتأمل. What does that mean?
رجل يسأل بالله ولا يعطي به. So say it again. It's the first one is what?
It says so ولا يعطي, so it says على البناء للفاعل أي الرجل المسؤول منه به أي بالله. قال ابن مالك يسأل بصيغة الفاعل ولا يعطى بصيغة المفعول، أي يسأل لنفسه بالله ولا يعطى بالله.
Uh,
إذا سؤال.
so he said a person يسأل بالله ولا يعطى به? Or is it رجل يسأل بالله ولا يعطي به? Or is it combination? So let's look at the four combinations. A man يسأل بالله, he asks by Allah, but he doesn't give by Allah. Right? So he says, Billahi alayk a'tini, but when people ask him, he doesn't give. Okay? So يسأل بالله ولا يعطي به. Okay? So that's بناء المفاعل. Okay? So
Yeah.
he asks by Allah but doesn't give by Allah. Or so now do both بناء مجهول. رجل يسأل بالله ولا يعطى به. Right? A man who is asked by Allah, okay? People ask him by Allah, ولا يعطى به. But when but when he asks by Allah, he is not given. Right? So if you put them both in majhul, that's a bit weird. Because it's like he is asked by Allah, but then he is not given by Allah. That's a bit weird. So now we have the first is does that make sense? So
Yes,
so
Siddharth.
all right, and now we have the first is active or passive, and the second. So I have the way it's done here is the first is yeah مبني المفعول and the second مبني مفعل. رجل يسأل بالله. People ask him for the sake of Allah, but he doesn't give for the sake of Allah. That makes sense, right? So he's saying that Ibn Malik said what? That they were both the مبني المفعول,
No, he's I think he's saying يسأل بصيغة الفاعل ولا يعطى بصيغة المفعول.
and then وهو
I
غير
think he's
صحيح.
saying, yeah, فتعمل, yeah,
Right.
that's what he said.
Now the question is, where is Ibn Malik saying this?
Mm.
Right, so that is the case. So رجل يسأل بالله. So what was it? يسأل بالله ولا يعطى بالله. Is that's what it is? It's اسم مبني للفاعل and then مبني للمفعول.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't make sense. He asks by Allah, but then he's
Mm.
given by Allah. That doesn't make sense. It should be the other way. Should be he is asked by
Mm.
Allah. People say, I ask you by Allah, but then he doesn't give by Allah. Right? Or it
Yeah.
could be both fa'il. He asks by Allah, but he doesn't give by Allah. So it makes sense. So the second one only makes sense to be mabni al-fa'il. He doesn't give by Allah, and the first one could be either or, right? But the other way around, where
Mm.
it's like he asks by Allah, but he is not given by Allah, that doesn't make any sense, right? So my question is then, uh, where would Ibn Malik say this anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah.
So does he have? So like I Ibn Malik. So I know he was big into hadith. What kind of books does he have? Ibn Malik on hadith? Hmm. أها. له في الحديث كتاب الشواهد التوضيح لمشكلة الجامع الصحيح. But that's only in Hadith Bukhari, in Sahih Bukhari. So is this Hadith in Sahih Bukhari? No. So I don't know where this is going to be. Are you sure it's Ibn Malik and not Ibn Malik?
Let me just check.
Because even Ibn Malik, I mean, he's famous for his commentary on the. I know Ibn Malik is a Hanafi who has a commentary on the, in Usul, what's it called?
Yeah, you're right. It's Ibn Malik. Yeah,
Thank
Ibn
you.
Malik. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So Ibn Malik. There we go. All right, so what does he have? I'm sure he has a book on hadith, Ibn Malik. So Ibn al-Malik. Here we go. Sharh al-Masabih. There we go. There we go. So Sharh al so he has a sharh on the original book, Ibn Malik. And what's the book? Manar. Sharh al-Manar. Okay, there we go. وعن جابر it reminds me of a whole discussion, was it last week, about Abu Dhar and everything? And it was like it's like trying to find this Abu Dhar, and it's like, no, it's just the hadith. It's like, oh, okay, great. Okay, وعن جابر قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يسأل بوجه الله إلا الجنة. The only thing, i.e., so what it is when people are, so literally the only thing that is asked for by Allah for the sake of Allah is Jannah itself. Meaning, when somebody comes up to you and say, Billahi alayk, I ask you by Allah, please feed me. And you give to them, what you are giving to them leads to you going to Jannah. Right? That's the point there. Okay. الفصل الثالث عن أنس قال كان أبو طلحة أكثر الأنصار بالمدينة مالا من نخل، وكان أحب أمواله إليه بيرحاء، وكانت مستقبل المسجد، وكان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يدخلها ويشرب من ماء فيها طيب. قال أنس فلما نزلت هذه الآية لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون قام أبو طلحة إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا رسول الله إن الله تعالى يقول لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون، وإن أحب مالي إلي بي بيرحاء، وإنها صدقة لله، أي وقف، it's an endowment، أرجو برها وذخرها عند الله، فضعها يا رسول الله حيث أراك الله. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بخ good job good job، ذلك مال رابح، قد سمعت ما قلت وإني أرى أن تجعلها في الأقربين. Right, it's for your relatives. فقال أبو طلحة أفعل يا رسول الله، فقسمها as a endowment أبو طلحة في أقاربه وبني عمه. So we've spoken about endowments before, very important, uh, right? You have money, create systems for people to do things, as opposed to every year masjid has to, say, raise money. It shouldn't be like that. Right? That we already have assets, we have things, we have buildings that are making money for the masjid. We already have money. There's a sister, she just got divorced and she has nobody to look after her. There's already money there, right? And then that person who is dead is getting all this reward, right? So using, it's a very important thing. وعنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أفضل الصدقة أن تشبع كبدا جائعا، رواه البيهقي في شعب الإيمان. What do you think, Aban? صحيح or not?
Very weak or weak.
Say it again?
It'll be weak, Siddhi. Shu'ab
Be
al-Iman
weak,
generally has
right?
weak hadith.
If it's only in Shu'ab al-Iman, very unlikely it's going to be sahih. Is that a problem? Not a problem. We already know, right? But it's he put it there for a reason, right? So somebody comes along and says, a Bayhaqi, he only put it in Shu'ab al-Iman li bayani da'fihi. That's not true. He put it in there because it's useful. So are you talking about adab and makarim al-akhlaq and fada' al-a'mal? Bismillah, mention the hadith, not a problem. you trying to prove halal haram? No, it's not useful, right? So the idea that somebody that people only mentioned weak hadith li bayani da'fihi, that's not true, right? So that's like a book on mawdu'at, right? Somebody writes, I'm gonna write, what's Ibn al-Jawzi's book on mawdu'at, what's it called? Can't remember. So basic al-Munif, something al-Munif, can't remember what it's called. Anyway, um, so what he's doing, he's saying, you know, all of those hadiths about X, yeah, they're all fabricated, right? So he's mentioned the book is on fabricated hadiths, so that you know, okay, oh yeah, the hadiths you heard on this topic, they're fabricated, and that is fabricated. So that's a book collecting fabricated hadiths. Shu'ab al-Iman is Imam al-Bayhaqi guiding us and saying, here is a collection of useful information that can help you worship Allah. So it is useful. It is not weak and therefore cancelable. It's weak and therefore put in this right category. Does that make sense? خير. باب صدقة المرأة من مال الزوج. Right? So the default is a woman cannot spend her husband's money, right? Because they are financially independent people, right? So the defaults are theft. Okay. So it says الفصل الأول عن عائشة قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أنفقت المرأة من طعام بيتها غير مفسدة. So here the طعام بيتها, he bought food for her. That's not temleek, right? So he didn't give her that food. It's not, but it's food for her to eat or to her to use. Now it can be temleek in certain scenarios, but the default is when so for example, he bought her a sofa, he bought her a fridge. That's for her to use, right? It's called um, imta', I think they call it imta'. Like I'm letting you use it. It's not that I'm giving it to you, right? Clothes can be slightly different. There are scenarios where, and also if they agree on something that's totally different as well. Like they say, for example, we're not going to live together, but we're going to agree that you're going to give me $1,000 a month as nafaqah. So obviously that's her money then, khalas. But she gives it away, right? It's fine. Um, okay. إذا أنفقت المرأة من طعام بيتها غير مفسدة. So so this is food that she's allowed to eat, and so she's giving it away. Right? كان لها أجرها ما أنفقت ولزوجها أجره بما كسبت. Right? Assuming he has the permission. Right? So she has permission, and so now it's not even hers though. But the point is she was instrumental to the good, so she gets the reward. He gets the reward. وللخازن مثل ذلك لا ينقص بعضهم أجر بعض شيئا. Right? The point is all the good comes in that, right? وعن أبي هريرة قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا أنفقت المرأة من كسب زوجها من غير أمره فلها نصف أجره. Right? This hadith suggests من غير أمره, suggests من غير إذنه, which is problematic, right? Don't give this away. Oh, I just gave it away. That's not your money, right? So basically, she gets gets half the reward if he doesn't tell her, but would allow her to. And right, as opposed to without her permission. So let's see how it explains it here, though, because the two hadiths seem to be contradictory, and they're both in Bukhari and Muslim. This one says she has the likes of it, and here it says it has the half of it. Right here, it's assuming that he told her, go ahead. If somebody comes and asks for food, go ahead. Here, it's min ghayri amrihi. He didn't tell her to do that. Okay. So he says, والدليل الطيبي والدليل على ذلك قوله من طعام بيتها, from the food of her house, right? فإنه أضاف البيت إليها, it's her house. دلالة على أن الطعام هو ما يتخذ للأكل, it's not his food, it's the food for her to eat. وأما جواز التصدق منه وعدمه فليس في الحديث دلالة عليه صريحة. نعم, الحديث الذي يليه هذا فيه دلالة على جواز التصدق بغير أمره, right, without his command. وأوله محيي السنة أي الإمام البغوي حيث قال والعمل على هذا عند عامة أهل الحديث أن المرأة ليس لها أن تتصدق بشيء من مال الزوج دون إذنه, right? So there's a big difference between دون أمره وبدون إذنه, without his commanding her, without him permitting her. Two different things, right? Okay. So one line. But the question is, why does she only get half of the reward? That's the issue. So assuming that he didn't tell her, but she does have permission. So if he didn't have permission, it would be haram. She doesn't get reward, of course, right? So the question is, why is it only half though? You have anything, Aban? I don't have anything here, do you?
I'll read. I'm reading in the Mishkat. I'll see if there's it.
Okay. So why is it only half? Allahu a'lam. Okay, and this is the next hadith. وعن أبي موسى الأشعري قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الخازن المسلم الأمين الذي يعطي ما أمر به كاملا موفرا طيبة به نفسه فيدفعه إلى الذي أمر له به أحد المتصدقين. Right? You are just the means, you still get the reward. وعن عائشة قالت إن رجلا قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن أمي قد إن تفلت نفسها وأظنها لو تكلمت تصدقت فهل لها أجر إن تصدقت عنها قال نعم. So this is something else. إن تفلت نفسها, her soul was taken away too soon. Right? She wasn't able to make a bequest or make can I give sadaqah on her behalf? And he said yes. Right? So sadaqah on behalf of a dead person. This is an exception to the rule that generally speaking you cannot give for somebody else. وَأَلَّيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. You can't do worship for someone else by default. There are exceptions. الفصل الثاني. Should we stop here? I think it's a good place. Yeah. Let's just do الفصل الثاني because there's only two hadiths. عن أبي أمامة قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول في خطبته عام حجة الوداع لا تنفق امرأة شيئا من بيت زوجها إلا بإذن زوجها قيل يا رسول الله ولا الطعام قال ذلك أفضل أموالنا. Right? So there we go. Right? So you can't do that if you're saying no. But what if it's okay? Right? So I'm out and I get a text from my wife. Can I give one cookie to my guest? I'm like, I don't understand. She's like, everything in this house is yours. So am I allowed? There's a cookie here. Am I allowed to give it to the guest? I'm like, well, of course. Like, it's not obvious, right? So we're not gonna. It's not. It doesn't work like that. If there's an understood or assumed permission, this is the urf and ada, right? And so Al-Baghawi in Sharh al-Sunnah, he mentions that the people in Hijaz is like it was like a disgrace that if somebody comes to your house and you don't give them food, like that's a disgrace. So I was away for 2 days. I come back and now I heard that my wife, somebody came by, like, and she didn't give the chicken, didn't slaughter the chicken. I'm like super angry with her. Like, why didn't you do that? Right? Oh, because you didn't have permission. Yeah, but I would tell you to do that. Like, why didn't you do that? That's really embarrassing. Well, that's really bad, right? Embarrassing is not a good thing, but really bad that you didn't do that. That's their style of living. Other people are not like that, right? It's like, no, I didn't, you know. It's a different style. So he says, that's so, but assuming this permission. وعن سعد ibn, I believe this is Sa'd ibn Ubadah, is it? Or Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas? Um, uh, not sure. I'm not sure which Sa'd this is. قال لما بايع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم النساء, right? Or بايع, yeah. النساء قامت امرأة جليلة كأنها من نساء مضر, right? قرشي. قالت يا نبي الله إنا كل, we are a weight على آبائنا وأبنائنا وأزواجنا فما يحل لنا من أموالهم قال الرطب تأكلنه وتهدينه, right? Small things like some dates that you eat and you can give it away, right? Like we are dependent. We are kal. We're just dependent on them, right? What can we give, right? Um, ورواه أبو داود, right?
See in the Mishkat for that, and in the Mirqat for that hadith, it says, فَلَهَا نِصْفُ أَجْرِهِ قِيلَ هذا مفسر بما إذا أخذت من مال زوجها أكثر من نفقتها وتصدقت به فعليها غرم ما أخذت أكثر منها فإذا علم الزوج ورضي بذلك فلها نصف أجره بما تصدقت من نفقتها
Mm.
ونصف أجره له بما تصدقت به أكثر من نفقتها.
Mhm. So is she paying from her nafaqah or is she paying from more than that? Okay. 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 And so a concept, ما أخذ بسيف الحياء فهو غصب, right? So whatever is taken with the sword of awkwardness, right? At the gunpoint and awkwardness, it is theft. So you work, right? Most people in the world, right? In Kerala, Azhar, can most men make enough money to support their wives?
Here, a lot of both the couples work in a lot
Exactly.
of the family.
Right? This is now the modern world, right? It's actually a cruel trick, right? It's a cruel trick, is that basically you bring women into the workplace and then there's now too much labor. So then you pay people less. So then people can't afford it, right? It's actually a trick, right? So it's basically you get more work done for cheaper. May Allah protect us. And it's not good at all. And then you
Yeah.
have various problems. But anyway, that's the reality of the situation, right? Um,
Can I share?
say it again.
Uh, yeah, just sorry to interrupt. About the earlier hadith of the half of the reward, right?
Yes.
Uh, I I I tried to find the explanation of Fath al-Bari because since it is mentioned in Bukhari, I searched from ChatGPT
Yes.
actually, so I can post the Arabic text
Okay.
if you
Bismillah.
want. Okay, 1 second. Just give me 10 seconds.
Okay. So anyway, just going back to the thing now. So it's a very tricky situation because how should it be done properly? Okay, how should things be done properly? Is let's take two scenarios. The man can make enough money to survive, and the wife is working as well. It's her money. If she wants to, she can contribute. If she doesn't want to, she doesn't contribute. And she always feels that she doesn't have to. She always feels like, no, I want to, right? He's like, can we go on holidays? Like, no, honestly, we can't go on. And she's like, okay, listen, I'll pay for it, right? Like, I'll do it. Like, I'm happy for that. I have the money. Let's go on Umrah, right? I want to do this thing together, whatever. That's fine. So that's one scenario. The other scenario is The other scenario is most people in the world cannot get by like that, right? So most people in the world is that you cannot get by with a single income. It's just that's not doable, right? So what does it mean? It means when you get married, you're very clear about that. So the issue is if you actually state it like that, then it's a problem in the contract, right? Like I marry you on the condition that you pay towards the rent and the food. That I don't think that's not a valid contract, Allahu alam, right? Because you're stipulating something that's like you're saying I marry you on the condition that you pay me money. Like you can't really do that. So, you know, you're gonna have to be careful with the verbiage, etc. But if you take it out of the contract, right? It's not in the contract. How is it? It's like an agreement, basically. It's like we are in this is 21st century. Most people cannot survive on one income. If you expect me to survive on one income, you're not going to see me. I'll be working two and a half jobs. Okay. So, and I'll probably die at the age of 40. So, how do you want to live life? She's like, fine, I understand. This is how we work. That's how it worked with my parents as well. That's fine. Um, but, but it's very clear that at any point I can back out. She's like, yeah, it's true. So what does that mean then? So it means that, okay, we need $1,000 a month to survive, right? We're bringing in together six, 700, six, 700. Okay, alhamdulillah, we have 1,400 at the end of the month, right? So now she's like, you know what? I'm not paying anymore. I don't like you. I don't have to pay. So she has that haqq at any point. She's like, I'm not going to do that, right? I'm not going to do that. So now month one goes past. He's stuck. Month two, month three, month four, we have to move out of the house. Okay? So she's like, well, you're not providing a house for me. And he's like, I'm sorry. And now we're staying at my in-laws or your in-laws and they're supporting us or this or that. And, you're not providing with me with my basic financial things. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. So now what do you want to do about it? She's like, I'm going to go to court. Okay, go to court. So you raise the issue to court. The court look at the situation, make a judgment, and they'll say, okay, we can you can just we can divorce you if you like. She's like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. Get a divorce. So are you happy, sister, with the divorce? Yeah. Okay, great. I want to go marry a doctor. There's a Dr. Aban is going to be a doctor soon. Shall I go marry him instead? Okay, alhamdulillah, go marry a doctor instead. Fine. But, you know, you don't have to play game. You know what I'm saying? People don't have to play game. But but you also don't have to be loyal to people. You also don't have to develop a relationship. You also don't have to have the reward of being somebody who worked together, right? But what's really low, and and then if you use this word bayghayrat, like you have no self-respect, is brother, you're not making enough money, your wife is supporting, and then you got a second wife, Habibi, right? You know? Or you married a wealthy woman and you're using her money to spend for the second wife, it's like subhanallah, you know? Again, unless people don't mind, right? So people are happy with it. Like this is the situation. The second wife says, "Listen, I need a man in my life. I have kids. I need a man in my life. I need somebody to help me with the kids or these things. I am also working. We will, it's three of us, right? Three of us will put our money together or whatever it is, So, that's not the end of the world, but it's a bit silly sometimes. It can be silly when it's like, bro, you're not making enough money for one wife, and your wife is working you know, and she's paying towards these things. And if she turned around and decided not to pay, you wouldn't be able to support them. You know, it's a bit much. Wallahu a'lam, right? Unless you're a professional model like Azhar, right? Then everybody's happy with you, right? That's something else. Does that make sense, inshallah? So these are not small fiqh discussions. It's a big discussion because there is a whole paradigm shift, right? When you live in a society where no man or 80% of men cannot provide for their family by working, a good 50 hours a week, right? You have a problem, right? Does that make sense? Like you actually change the structure of society by doing that. Yeah, am I making sense, Aban and everybody?
No, sir.
Okay. So except from except either yeah, okay, so it's similar a bit to Aban's. Aban's the in Tibi was a bit more details. The question is put the two hadiths together, okay? So the first hadith said that if he gives permission, they both get the full reward. Okay? According to Mullah Ali Qari, or whoever he was quoting, right? He says she gets the reward for her portion of it because that was from her nafaqa, wajiba, and he gets the reward. But it should be that it should be that he gets half the reward and she gets the full reward. You know what I'm saying? Because if before he said if he said if he tells her if somebody comes by asking for money, give them money. Okay? Then she gets the reward and he gets the reward. Right? But but if if we say, oh, she gave from her money, then what should happen is his reward should be halved because she gave from him, but then so she should get the full reward, meaning she gets the full reward for what she gave from her own nafaqa wajiba, plus she gets the reward of what she gave from her husband's thing, as the previous mentioned hadith mentioned. So and and he gets half, right? That's what should happen, right? So there's still a problem, right? So it says فَلَهَا نِصْفُ أَجْرِهِ, right? So still fihi ma fihi, right? So maybe it means nisf in a general sense. She gets half the reward, meaning the likes of the reward, right? Like shiq means half and also means a part of something. Wallahu alam. Wallahu alam. You know, fihi ma fihi. It's not a 100% answer, neither from Mullah al-Qari or from Fath al-Bari. Wallahu alam. Okay, makes sense, inshallah.
Yes, sir.
And then we remind ourselves as well, what is more important, generosity of emotions or generosity of money? Generosity with emotions, right? Um, that you'll forgive, no issues, right? You insult somebody, that's like taking money from them, right? And they don't even notice it. There's nothing happened. They are so generous with their soul, nothing happened. You harm somebody, they've forgiven you. I don't have any grudges. I don't need the money back. It's okay. Don't even think about it. Don't mention it. I've forgotten about it. As opposed to all these things. I did this for this person. She did that to me. He did that to me. Right? This is somebody who's cheap. Bakhil. Right? This is bukhl. Money, you know, money is cheap compared to emotions. Right? And uh, that's a big thing to give with the emotions is much bigger than giving with money. Right? It's a much bigger thing. May Allah forgive us all. Okay, let's just finish this one last hadith because I know it's actually the very last. It says, وعن عمير مولى أبي اللحم قال أمرني مولاي أن أقدد لحما to cut up meat فجاءني مسكين فأطعمته منه فعلم ذلك مولاي فضربني فأتيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فذكرت ذلك له فدعاه فقال لما ضربته قال يعطي الطعام بغير أن آمره قال الأجر بينكما وفي رواية قال كنت مملوكا فسألت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أأتصدق right أأتصدق من مال موالي بشيء قال نعم والأجر بينكما نصفان والأجر بينكما نصفان. So here we have a problem. Okay, here we have a problem because why do you get ajr if it's haram? Right, you gave without permission. So here we have a problem. So let's see what he said. Right. So I have Tawau. I'm not sure who Tawau is. Anyway, it says لم يرد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بذلك إطلاق يد العبد في مال سيده. He didn't say that it's okay for you for the slave to just spend his master's to use it to إطلاق اليد to spend it how he likes. إنما كره صنيع مولاه في ضربه للعبد على الأمر الذي تبين رشده فيه. Right, you shouldn't do that. وحث السيد على اغتنام الأجر. I forgive it and get the reward. ورغب فيه ولم يرى أنه مهد له في مكان سبيل العفو. Right, and he ولم يرى أن فإن قيل فهل يجوز أن يسكت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من مواضع حاجة إلى البيان؟ قل لا قد تبين ذلك من غير موضع. Right, so the question is, well, why didn't the Prophet ﷺ first say, excuse me, what you did was haram, and yes, you are right to be angry that he gave your money without permission, but you should have that reward, right? You should forgive, right? Basically, that's the ta'wil. So technically speaking, this person is a ghasib. He's not a sadiq, but he's a ghasib. Your slave is a ghasib. He has done something haram, and but you should A, forgive your slave for doing that, and B, do ihtisab, say alhamdulillah, it went to a poor person, and then you're gonna share the reward, right? Right. So that's the ta'wil here. Right? That's the ta'wil of the hadith. It's not saying go ahead, you can steal money from these people, right? So notice how we come along to the Hanafis and we say, Hanafis, you don't apply hadiths, right? There's a hadith that goes against qiyas and you don't apply it. Didn't we just do exactly the same thing here? In fact, didn't we all do that here? I doubt there's any debate between the madhahib on this issue, right? Like, is it halal for your wife, your child, your slave to spend your money in a way that they feel it's good against your will, right? I don't think anybody says that, right? But rather they do ta'wil. So everybody does ta'wil. Everybody looks at something and they say, yeah, but it doesn't mean that. وَأَلَّيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. A person doesn't get except something what they strove for. And exceptions to that, well, you can give charity on behalf of the dead, you can do this. There's exceptions, right? So there's lots of itlaqat, right? Or things that are ظاهره كذا, right? The outward purport of this hadith, the outward purport of the ayah is this, but it's not, right? ومن كفر مؤمنا مسلما متعمدا right? So you intentionally killed a believer, you go to hellfire forever. What does it mean? Oh, assuming you killed him because he's a Muslim. You killed him for being Muslim, not you killed him you killed him thinking that it was halal, right? Or believing that it was halal. We do ta'wil. So ta'wil is a thing that everybody does. Everybody does. Because there are verses in a hadith that are outwardly contradictory, right? They are outwardly contradictory. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And everybody does that without exception. Shall I stop here? وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك